Looking through the lens, opinions of three friends. Looking through the lens, sometimes they don't make sense. We going. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Through the Lens. Today we are reviewing a special animation movie called Demon Slayer Mugen Train. We are here. I'm your host for today, and on my left we have Mr. Patronusgold.
Hi guys.
On the more left, there's Mr. Should I call you Joker? Alright, Mr. Joker.
Go for it, Joker it is.
Alright, and then on my furthest left we have Sun Dude.
Should I get it? That's right.
Alrighty. So, Demon Slayer, the movie. So this movie, I'll just read the synopsis here, is it's about Tanjiro. After his family was brutally murdered and his sister turned into a demon, Tanjiro Kamado's journey as a demon slayer began. Tanjiro and his comrades embark on a new mission aboard the Mugen train, on track to despair. What a synopsis. So this movie was directed by Haruo Sotozaki and written by Koyoharu Gotoge, who also wrote the manga, I think. Yeah. And it stars Natsuki Hanai as Tanjiro, Akari Kito as Nezuko, Hiro Shimono as Zenitsu, Yoshitsugu Matsuoka as Inosuke, Satoshi Hino as Rengoku Kyojiro, and many more in the cast list. As we all know, full cast and crew. So, let's go right off with our first impressions here.
I think we should begin first by stating all of our backgrounds in like.
Oh yeah,
because I know
good
it's
idea.
and obviously, elephant in the room. I think we should let Mr. Joker introduce himself.
Sure.
Fantastic, yeah. Hi, I'm the Joker himself.
Yes.
A reader of the Demon Slayer manga, as an enjoyer of the anime. I also have some background info going into the movie. I've had pretty much an entire knowledge of what was going to happen with the end cut off. So I knew what to expect, but I was still very excited. I'm here to give my opinion as a Demon Slayer manga fan.
Yes. I'll go last. Do you want to go next?
Okay, so
We can go together, maybe.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
You and I the same.
you can talk.
Alright, we watched the Demon Slayer Season 1 anime together.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Can we do like a heart thing? Like, can you like...
Do it on the other side. Yeah, and I'll do it.
Oh yes. Finally, me. I have never engaged in Demon Slayer, or anime for that matter. So I'm the zero context reviewer in this situation.
A variety of points of views that may
Yes.
be interesting. Okay, let's start right off with our first impressions. I guess we'll start with Jack here, Mr. Patronusgold.
Oh, g'day. My impressions on this, I think it is quite a good movie here that we have here. Does it warrant a movie instead of individual episodes? I don't personally think so, because I feel like it could have been stretched out in certain parts, and really it could have been overall fleshed out. I think my general synopsis is: first act starts off really strong, last act ends really strong. The stuff in the middle, didn't quite work for me. But overall, is this a good movie? Yes, it is. Is it what people are saying about it? No, it's absolutely not. It is not the fucking best movie ever made. No. But is it still a good movie that I recommend you see? Especially if you're a fan of this season 1? Absolutely.
Let's get on.
Fair point, yeah.
Mr. Joker, you can continue. What are your opinions
Right. So
as first impression?
I have to align myself with my co-host Jack. I did also thoroughly enjoy the movie. As a manga viewer and enjoyer, I noted that the movie would adapt basically 1.5 volumes from the manga. So I was initially concerned that they would sort of dilate and stretch out the movie's plot to make it fit the length of a movie feature, which in this case was 2 hours. But to my surprise, they managed to fill in a good amount of plot, character development with like tons of action set pieces. And while I am also somewhat disappointed that this wasn't just put into season 2 on its own and just combined into another season of Demon Slayer, I do understand why it was given, and it's especially evident in the what I think is the final sort of scenes of the movie where the studio notable really take advantage of that higher budget and give us a gorgeous
Uh,
set piece. But we'll get into that
yeah.
later. I was thoroughly enjoyed.
All
Sandeep.
right, Sandu.
Um, this really did feel like several episodes put together into one thing for me. Uh, and I guess I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not used to it, so I don't know what to think. I never know what to think anyway, so it's all good.
I think you're not just.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Did you think it was good?
I think it was good. Yeah,
Yeah.
although
Okay.
it's kind of new to me. I haven't watched an anime in a while.
Okay. Uh, Me myself, have a similar opinion to Mr. Patronusgold here, where yeah, it started off good, ended good, but the plot in the middle could have been expanded more. Hard there, expanded more thoroughly, and if it was made as a season, it will definitely be a better retelling of the story. But as a movie, it was pretty good. Not too much to complain about visually or like animation wise. It was really good because of the push from the budget as well. So I enjoyed it. Okay,
Yeah.
let's just move on here to talk about the acting first of all. What did you guys think about the acting? The voice acting, to be more specific.
Same as my thoughts in season 1. Voice acting's great. No problems there.
I agree with Patronus Gold. Yeah, I thought the voice work was phenomenal, and it's really evident that even though you don't share a similar language with it, in my case especially, you can still vividly hear the emotion, the pain that the actor is experiencing and drawing out for their
Yeah.
performances. I thought that really added to the whole movie. Like I was really invested in the character.
Yeah.
Now, I have a bit of an odd experience. Halfway through watching the movie, it switched from Japanese to English. So I
can talk
got
about the
both.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
How's the
I really would have liked to watch the
Yeah.
whole thing in Japanese though, just get that aesthetic. But I guess for the little I saw, it was more like a third of the way into the movie it switched. So I got a third Japanese. But it was they were both good, I think.
So how
Yeah.
would you say the English voice actors compared to the Japanese voice actors?
Um,
Was it cringe?
like a
Yeah.
little, not really, because I know it's also there's also like a stylistic feature to it. So.
Yeah,
I
there'd be like
understand.
translation issues as well in terms of like something.
Yeah, the subtitles was still translated from the Japanese, so
Right, it wouldn't be
I
word
couldn't
for word
follow.
in that case.
Yeah,
Oh, we had absolute dog shit subtitles, me and Nimsy.
I
Like
think we
our
got the
subtitles
same.
were all over the fucking place. They had numbers
Yeah,
instead of letters. It was some weird
nice,
shit.
nice.
For
Okay, about the
context,
good one.
Ibzy is also another one of my nicknames, and I can vouch for Jack. Sometimes the
Mm.
subtitles would cut out of the itself, or the audio actually would cut out, but the subtitles would still be present. It was a very haphazard viewing experience. But I think the even surprising thing is that the animation itself still conveyed the emotion. So even if the dialogue of the subtitles didn't voice match didn't properly convey what the movie was, you could tell the animators painstaking hours just drawing in every feature of the face
Yeah.
conveyed.
Yeah.
You can elaborate on that when we get to the visual section. But yes,
Exactly.
yeah, I also thought that the voice acting was pretty good. From what I've seen in the cast list, they're all pretty well seasoned voice actors in the anime industry, so that's to be expected. So yeah,
Very nice. Yeah.
if we're done here, let's go ahead on to the writing. What y'all think about the execution here?
All right, I'm just gonna give you my full thoughts here, and
Okay.
Here we
not
go.
too much of it is actually spoilers in terms of thing. One of the things I really like about the way the movie's paced pretty well. So like I can see a clear
Mm,
first act, second act, or third act, which makes my job so much easier.
agree, yeah.
Okay, so it's okay.
Except from
Sorry,
season
sorry.
one. It
Yeah.
picks up from season one immediately. There's no like.
That's a good thing.
cut back
No
or recap
previously
filler.
done.
And then from then on. To be fair, on both accounts, from my experience at least, if you watched it without having the previous season knowledge, it still had a very uptight pace. Like you could hit the difficult so the entire content.
Actually, I'd love to get Sonny's opinion on that later.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, yeah, to speak directly, I didn't feel like I needed any background or context. It gave it all in the movie. If there were any like references nearing the end of the movie or like knowing who these characters were at the start of the movie, it didn't really matter to me. I kind of get at the end that there were like references, but other than that, you didn't need that for the whole film. The whole film did a pretty good job with that.
Was
I
it
will
still an
say
enjoyable
on that
experience?
note, though. Oh, so
Right.
yeah.
Was
One
it
thing
still an
else.
enjoyable experience?
Ibsy first.
Yeah, you go first.
Yeah. Was it still an enjoyable experience for you? Sorry, Jack.
It's okay.
Was it enjoyable for you, Sunny, not having this context behind it and still enjoying the movie?
Yeah.
Sorry, you go, Jack.
Okay, sorry, thank you. I'll say, I don't know how Sunny would feel on this one, but something that I think would have probably affected you even more than us was they could have. I don't know. Is this spoilers? Because it's something that's not in the movie. Does that count as spoilers or not?
Is it in season one?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta go for it.
The main villain isn't in this movie, which I felt like was kind of a bit of a waste opportunity because they could have given. I feel like after the events that occurred in this film, especially towards the end, they should have put him in at some point, at least giving some sort of reaction to the event. We'll probably get that in season 2, I assume, but I feel like that would have been a really strong note to end the film on. Not that the ending of this film is bad. I think the end of the film is pretty fantastic, to be honest. No. I'm just saying that would have been an extra added bonus. But let me actually break down the stuff that I. All right. First of all, stuff I liked. Like I said, the start of the film it starts off really strong. Like there's this crazy things that are going on in this place, and like we said before, jump straight into the action. They have this amazing setup of stuff that, to be honest, was kind of unexplored in season 1. At least it was a certain point, not too far through the film, they kind of just jumped out of it and straight into action. Now, I understand that would be different if it was in a TV series, anime sort of thing, because they could have paced that differently. But I don't know. I felt like they could have spent much longer on these, should I say, these sequences involving each of the characters. I'll say that. I felt like they could have fleshed those out a bit more, and that would have been so much better. And then we get into the second act of the film, which let's just say is the big battle of that story, kind of. Not discrediting the one at the end. I'll come back to that. I felt like that was kind of a disappointing fight, to be honest. From a storytelling point, there were certain storytelling elements that made absolutely no sense. They just pulled like things out of the air. I'm definitely talking about this in spoilers, because this is something I think when we were all watching it together, sorry Sunny, that we kind of agreed that there's this one thing that happens, which is a really big thing because it sets up the rest of the fight. It kind of came out of nowhere. I had a problem with that. Overall, I think the ending of that, I guess we'll call it an arc, right? That kind of just didn't really work for me. And then we get to, because they introduce, actually, is this spoilers? Okay, a new problem comes along to solve, which, to be honest, also kind of felt like they pulled out of nowhere. I assume maybe they would have told you, and I don't know if it's in the manga or not. You'll have to tell me about that later. But something happens and it's just really kind of really random. The results of that, however, are absolutely spectacular. You get this fantastic finale. Though the events that lead up to that didn't work pretty much at all for me. That's my writing stuff done. Go ahead.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
So should I give my on the so yeah, I can agree with Jack. I believe at the ending of season one, like the song to the train, what happens afterwards looks ambiguous, and there's usually this problem with anime movies that come from this anime. They have this recap right at the beginning of the anime. You spend 5 to 20 minutes recap what happens in the season. Thankfully, the viewer can basically guess based on context and the style of the show what's happened in the previous season. Just come straight back in. We get on the train. We get introduced to Rengoku, who's seen the trailers, and I feel like we spent a good amount of time with Rengoku. I personally would have liked to see more backstory from him, but having read the manga, I can understand that most likely will come later on in the actual. And yeah, in terms of the midpoint of the movie, I can safely say with Jack that the weak point of the movie, not only in terms of the fighting quality, in terms of but also in terms of the animation quality. I think I can understand why they made certain compromises to cut back to the way they presented the story. I don't think it was a very distracting movie. But thankfully, this doesn't impede the ending of the movie at all. The ending is by far, in my opinion, the crown center of it, where I think most people will talk about it in the years to come as Demon Slayer finishes this run. So yeah, I overall enjoyed the structure. It was a typical, beginning, middle, and end, but it does the job well. A few hiccups in the middle.
Yeah. Any more writing thoughts you guys would like to add?
What do you say, man?
No chance.
Would you actually?
Should we move on to spoilers? I feel like we're trying to dodge spoilers.
Oh no!
We
We got
got
a
some
few
more
stuff
sections.
to get through.
A few more. Yeah.
This is like the basic easy stuff because we mostly have good thoughts on this. I think. So, yeah.
I guess I'll add on to your thing. So I agree with your opinions on how the story was structured and all. And especially the bit where we get a bit more insight to the characters' backstories, which was part of the whole, I guess, not fight, but like the arc, I guess. As I've said before, they could have expanded on it and like fleshed out each story of the characters, but with the limited time of the movie, I guess they can only do so much. But for what they got, it's alright. If it was a normal season, then they could have done that better. But something interesting I thought about, like, with those character backstories being intertwined with the actual fight, or like, I guess, it's a good way to also introduce the characters to new audiences. So they chose like a pretty good arc for that, for a movie.
Oh yeah.
So that was something interesting.
That is pretty. Yeah, did you agree with that, Sunny? Because did you feel like you understand the characters more by seeing their backstories?
When they had the
Yeah.
flashbacks and stuff.
Yeah.
I think the beginning part really does well to establish the background of the characters, so that when it comes to the action, we're actually invested in.
Yeah.
I guess
Alright.
if that's it, let's go on to the
Let's slap them
cinematography
together.
slash
Let's just slap
visuals slash editing. So
slash
yeah,
editing. Or just scroll
animation
together.
stuff. All right.
Sorry, Patronus.
What can we say? Like the animation's fucking spectacular.
Or if you enjoyed the season 1 episode, I believe 19, correct me if I'm wrong, but my God, 24.
You said
Sorry, it
the
was
final
24.
one.
69.
Which was this?
You know what I'm talking about when I talk about that episode of Demon Slayer. Believe me, you foldables up their
To be honest, I
game.
don't remember what's in each episode.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just,
we've like,
what scene
so
specifically?
I don't know. Yeah.
It's where Tanjiro faces off against with Nezuko against Rui. That was and it's where he uses the fire breathing.
Oh, the spider.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's a little too much. Just in case I haven't seen it. But
Sorry.
yeah. That's
if you think about the quality and time it took in that scene, I can guarantee you'll be even more amazed by the time that the animation team spent here, especially I give the middle section a lot of flack for having bad and shoddy work, but there are two exceptional scenes with Zenitsu and Nezuko that really show the talent of these creators. And then obviously you have the centerpiece of the whole show, Rengoku, who just is on display with his total arsenal of powers. It's an amazing thing to
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What more can we say?
Well, basically, it's like season 1, but even better. There you go.
Yeah. And
honestly.
like we said before, the finale of this, beautiful. Like,
I just
beyond
want to talk
words,
about
beyond
it at
words.
this point. I just want to
We're close to the spoilers. Don't just
Oh,
hold on
okay,
for a minute. We've got like
let's
one more section to go, right?
Yeah. Okay. If that's said, let's talk about the audio/music. Yeah. Music.
We did get Lisa.
I think,
Yeah, no Lisa
I
this
think,
So Zero. Hate it.
Zero.
No Lisa. Where's Lisa? Come on, guys. I like Lisa.
I was also disappointed when Lisa wasn't there.
Oh, that's the season 1 opening, by the way, Sunny.
Yeah.
That I referred to.
Sorry. With context, the
Yeah.
opening doesn't return. But I think the
music's still good, yeah.
soundtrack we had awesome made.
Yeah.
Wasn't there an ending
I think you
song?
had. Yeah. I think one of us.
Actually, now that you mentioned the orchestral stuff, that's a really good point because season 1 did a lot of that. And I remember when I was watching it with you, dear, I would be like, oh, movie sort of music with the sort like they're trying to be very cinematic and
yeah.
stuff, and that pays off even more in this film because it actually is a movie.
Gosh.
So yeah,
You're right.
The way they incorporate the strings and the harmonics into the actual like dialogue itself, I found when they find that emotional part of the music with the act with what was physically going on, and I thought it was I knew they did it on purpose, and the bastards they got the waterworks done. So
oh yeah, we'll get back to that later because yeah.
What did you
Other than
think,
myself
Simon?
out of my part, music
Right.
worked well. That's what
Yeah,
I
music
thought.
worked.
I didn't pay attention too much, but yeah.
I don't think, to be fair, as a criticism, I don't think it's very innovative on the typical action orchestral, anime soundtracks. I think it's very, with that respect, I think it's done very well, but it's very standard. I don't think
I think it's a
Demon
bit.
Slayer.
I think it's a little bit better than that, but like
Well,
sure.
it's like nothing
I
new,
think
but
the
it's well
quality is
made.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very well made. I don't think it would be if you were looking for a standout, for example, the Devil May Cry Baby, which has a lot of synth waves. You won't see a lot of offense. It'll be very fantastic work, but it's something that it won't feel out of place in other action.
It doesn't have its own like distinct Demon
Identity,
Slayer style, I guess. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's something to add. There was also a pretty good implementation of like spatial audio in some scenes. I like that.
There is,
Ooh,
yeah.
noticed.
I noticed that as well.
Good point. Yeah.
It's great because every time they use spatial audio, like Dio would go, "Hey, spatial audio," just to remind
Right
us.
headphones, left headphones.
You like
It's
that?
fun,
You like
it's
that
fun.
bit of that ASMR? You like that
Yeah.
little
It was
Yeah.
immersive, man. What can you say?
good stuff? Yeah.
All right. I guess now it's time for the section y'all been waiting for.
Oh.
Good old spoiler
Yes.
zone. Bring out the flute. Before
Spoiler zone.
that. Alrighty,
Here we
we
go.
in the spoiler zone. For those who want to skip
Full on.
timestamp here, let's get into it.
Also, spoilers for season 1, in
Okay.
case you haven't seen it.
No job.
Briefly, I want to touch on something I meant to mention in the main section, but I forgot, so I'm just going to do it here. A negative that I noticed: they sidelined what's his name? I don't even remember his name.
Zenitsu and Nezuko, right?
Orange boy.
Nezuko,
Yeah.
not so much. Nezuko's my favorite character though, so I guess
Fire.
she's sidelined because she's my favorite. But the orange guy, he's
Zenitsu's
basically
definitely
not
fire.
really in the movie, to be honest. Like he has very minimal stuff to do. Does he actually use his power?
He did.
I can't remember.
He
Did
does,
he?
He does, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it like with the dream?
When he was like, "Oh, Nezuko,
was
what are
still
you
sleeping.
doing?" And then Nezuko was fighting shit, and
Yeah,
he's like,
that's
"Oh,
process
get
fire,
off
yeah.
me, Nezuko!" while he's
It's
sleeping.
similar to the season 1. The way he uses powers in season 1, it's not allowed to call it there.
Yeah.
To address your point, I do agree that Zenitsu and Izuku don't really get the time in the spotlight. But
Yeah.
having read the manga, I know that future seasons of Demon Slayer, they'll have their own respective arcs.
Yeah.
So I'm not disappointed as a manga reader. It's what I expect.
Well, this arc
Alright.
wasn't focused on them. I guess that was the thing.
Yeah, this isn't their arc.
Yeah.
Even for me, I did notice the orange guy was missing a lot.
Yeah, he doesn't get anything. But
Yeah.
to be fair, when he does show up, the animation quality is fine. I think the writers have a distinct style with Zenitsu that I'm expecting to improve later seasons.
Yeah, they do. Other spoiler stuff that I wanted to touch upon, which I kind of touched upon, I actually want to go in depth with. So let's just start with the dream sequences. I think they start off really, really well. I was getting a real One Division vibe from it because it's like they're in like an Inception, right? Because they're in like a dream thing and they're not sure what's real or not. Dio was you were saying like, oh, is he gonna notice like Nezuko's out there or something? Is that gonna be the thing?
Yeah.
But it was much like easier than that. It was just like, dude from the outside world walks in or something.
Something's weird.
And then it's oh no, he gets on fire. That's what happens, right?
Well, then he remembers.
We'll get to that. Yeah.
Then he remembers Nezuko's
Which is cool,
out
but
there.
I wanted to spend a bit more time in that world. Yeah,
Well,
I wanted them to spend a bit more time in that little world there.
Yeah.
Because especially since the weak point I think for season 1 is they rarely really touch upon his family. In the defense of that, they need to keep moving on in season 1 because they have to keep Nezuko safe. That's kind of his motive for that.
Yeah,
but it was nice to get this reflective moment. But I feel like they could have done a bit more. They started touching on some really cool things, and it's a shame it didn't reach its full potential there. Do you guys have thoughts on that? Yeah, you agree?
I agree.
Funny, Zefros, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, as I've said before,
I agree with you guys.
The dream sections, the backstory sections for each character, from Tanjiro to Fireman, could have been expanded.
Yeah, Fireman.
I forgot his name, but Fireman.
Rengoku.
There you go. Like he has his bit, which was quite brief, if I remember correctly. So it didn't really did its best, but it did convey the message.
Yeah.
I think majority of the dream sequence, obviously we see Zenitsu's and Inosuke's dream sequence. They're more used for like comic relief and kind of a break from the seriousness of Rengoku and Tanjiro's dreams. They deal with some pretty heavy stuff that was kind of I felt glossed over in season 1. Tanjiro feeling finally trying to get over the loss of family, which are brought back, his psyche, his memory, but they're not really alive. The memory still exists. And we see Rengoku as well going through his backstory with his family, but it's a lot less restrictive, more like a reminiscence of the hardships he and his brother faced on, and we kind of get to see how this stoic leadership character that he is formed. I like that the movie spent time on Tanjiro, but most importantly, he gets a lot of time to shine, and he's that leader. Yeah,
it's his story, really, isn't it?
I say Rengoku.
Yeah.
I say the most important characters in the story are Rengoku primarily, and Tanjiro. I say they're on the same level. Inosuke surprisingly gets a lot of screen time and a lot of development after the film, where we get comedy relief. But this is actually one of the better points of this. The middle arc that we all found lesser than the effort. And Inosuke really gets this time. That's the something that we kind of neglected to mention when we were ripping into.
Well, that's why I was saying he wasn't sidelined because he's actually in the film and he does stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't get as much spotlight as Tanjiro and Rengoku brought history, but it's really, I was really surprised and really nice to see the Inosuke really develop as a person and develop feelings towards someone who is Tanjiro.
Absolutely. Oh, also, while we're on that, just before that, I'd like to also touch upon. I think Nezuko has a really powerful scene where she is trying to wake up her brother and she can't.
Mm.
That was a pretty emotional scene. Like I don't not like the ending of the movie, of course. I don't think he's did it for everything. Like it's not like the end of the movie, but like I think that was actually a really well handled scene because to me, and I think this definitely applies to season one, and it definitely applies to the first act of this movie. I think the bond between Tanjiro and Nezuko is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also like Nezuko taking a more active role in the adventure. We physically see her. All the other characters are in their own game. Nezuko having this opportunity to take charge. We see her at first fail repeatedly, and we think, oh, Nezuko's going to be useless. What's the point of having her? And you just
She's
see
just
her
a little midget.
persisting. Exactly, and you see her persisting
Yeah, why is she tiny?
through the hardship. Yeah, and the way she
Yeah.
tackles the problem and evolves her demon blood art, I thought was really like it was nice.
Yeah.
We see a development of Nezuko's power, not to the extent of like Tanjiro or even Jay, but I think it's more than Zenitsu's got, which is important.
Yep.
We move
After
on to the
that,
last part now.
no, close. Almost done. I also want to talk about the second arc, this like the
Oh, yeah.
middle of the film. So my biggest problem with this was the fact that he became the train. Now, the idea is cool in theory, but they execute it so poorly. For a start, the reason why he became the train, they pulled that out of nowhere. That wasn't anything to do with like the dream powers or nothing.
No,
They do have a
no.
really great moment though when he's walking up the train and then he keeps like making him sleep and then he keeps killing himself. That was a really nice moment. I thought that was actually pretty smart.
Out of
But the
context,
fact
that sounds mad, but yeah.
I mean, if you do watch the movie, that's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah.
Well, the
When you
inward
say it like
logic
that-
is.
Sorry, Sunny.
Yeah,
Sorry.
now that you pointed out, thinking back on it, yeah, they really pulled that out of nowhere, didn't they?
Yeah, he just like I am the
I never
train.
noticed these things when I watched
It
it.
was a flimsy explanation, but I think we assume that through Muzan's blood, he gained multiple demon blood armors. It's not explicitly stated. It's just something left to think of the viewer. It's like typical anime cliche. We're just supposed to accept that it's happening.
Yeah, the inward logic is like,
Okay.
Yeah.
as a demon, you can either have like transformation powers or demon magic powers, but he has both.
Or combination.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this was, yeah.
But
It's
well,
kinda
that
chaotic.
hasn't been like explained yet. But the individual powers has. But
Yeah.
It did make, to be fair, it did make a very interesting set piece. I thought that was a very
Yeah, I do think
It's
that
train.
like I said, the idea and concept is pretty cool. Just how they got there didn't make
execution.
sense.
Yeah.
And then with the actual scene itself, I think the 3D with the 2D animation, to be honest, clashed pretty poorly. I
True.
don't know. Yeah, I don't really know what they were. I
just
think
looks
I
like
kind of see
tits,
what they were going for. They wanted to look like
Tits.
growths or something,
It
right?
was a
Tears.
grotesque type of thing, yeah.
But it just came off looking like shit CGI, to be honest. Like,
To be fair, it's not like, to give context, it's not like Spy Kids 4 level of bad CGI. I'd say it's like...
hey, Spy Kids 4 has. Oh no, you're right.
Speaking of
yeah,
like
I'm right,
yeah.
yeah.
the 3D animation intertwined with the 2D animation, like season 1 did that really well, where they only
Yeah,
did the
yeah.
3D
It was subtle.
scenes. Yeah,
Yeah.
subtly, where like if it's
Yeah.
like a big wide shot, then they would make
Yeah,
it blend in.
yeah.
But in this case, it's a bit hard to do in the scenes they're trying to do it with, where it's like
Yeah.
close up big action scenes. So it's like
And it's a
distracting. Yeah.
huge set piece as well, so
Yeah.
CGI is going to be a lot more present on screen than it would
Yeah.
be.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
It's distracting, but at the very least, we do see very
Laughing just probably when sort of the train. I just didn't notice stupid move I was always saying. Fuck your train now.
And then you and then Thomas Hanks just
Yeah. Mm. Mm.
matches. And this is my sorry, you villain.
of the context of the show might make it more clear.
Oh wait, he's back. Never mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want me to take that again from Act 3? Yeah, he's back. All right. Act 3 starts off train crashes, right? And so my big problem with this part is they introduce a new, which probably might have worked a bit more if they were doing it as a series, because then they could clearly have 2 arcs. But this is the 3rd act of a film, so this is where I understand that's where the climax is supposed to be, but once again, kind of pulling something out of nowhere to insert here.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't really work for me.
I think
honest.
you have to as a watcher of season 1. I think you have to assume that part of Moose Monkey's plan. As someone who's read the manga, I understand why things are going on, but I agree to like a new person, for example, like Sunny. It may not be clear, and I think that's fully by the they didn't really explain why this all the time going. Which demon that shows up after the train guy's been defeated, and the hero still up.
Didn't he just show up as
He's the boy with the man through the earrings.
because he like basically wanted in the world.
In the team, yeah.
So I guess that may be the unsaid explanation.
Okay, get what Randall and Jackie were saying. Yeah.
Then the fight starts, and it gets stronger. You know, talk about fight. All right.
So that's the scenario. You have everyone making their Isuke. Tanjiro and Isuke are just damaged. Tanjiro has a wound, unable to fight. Isuke, you get a rare one of fear. Probably very powerful. Very
Emotionless, like it.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember that this is where everything's going to be really awkward. His elderly brother here step up to protect his his younger member. And the way that when Goku's like very sincere, very true, you believe him when he says, "Back to my brothers, my Air Force members, I'll take care of this." And you feel for him, but you know for a fact that you can tell the way the scene is developed, and you can tell as well that's very highly just set. And what falls is this beautiful like tapestry of animation on full display with the vibrating powers and have a demon. I got the high ranking and the fight is very even the characters.
Okay, I guess we're back. So what happened was Mr. Joker left as he had to do his business. Well, my internet died, so I guess we'll continue from where we left off, which was
Yes.
Thank you very much to Joker again for being on the show.
Thank you.
Yep.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
I guess I'll take over his speech. What he was giving. More or less, he was saying, "This fight is really good. The setup for the fight's really good. You get a good feel for Rengoku as a very heroic, compassionate, compelling protector of his comrades. He's a very honorable man, right?
Yes.
I think we all got that vibe, and there's a lot of emotional weight to the fight as well as being visually spectacular. Yeah, they fight. I can't describe everything after the fight, but the fight is beautiful. They did come to a certain point where I was kind of like to Dio. He's gonna totally die, right? Like, that's why they do. That's why they're focusing so much on him and having Tanjiro on the side injured. You know, he's kind of gonna sacrifice himself. I got like a bit of that vibe, but to be honest, that's what I would have wanted. No, not as in like I wanted him to die, but like in terms of serving the story, I think that is a good way to end it up. Yeah, and another thing, he's fighting the demon at full power, and that's really cool because this is something that Demon Slayer does really well compared to, I guess, other shonen that I'm familiar with. The main character Tanjiro is by far from the most powerful in any fights that he's in.
Yeah.
He usually has to rely on friends and stuff. So the power of friendship always wins. And once again, it happens here. In fact, Tanjiro basically doesn't really do anything, which is if he got injured. Like that makes sense completely. And like there was no way he would have be able to beat him, which is another really good thing because Tanjiro does have like a swing at him at the end, and he doesn't kill the demon. So they make that really clear. His power levels, Tanjiro is down here, the demon's like way up here, and by killing off Rengoku, it not only served like his character's Goku. It not only served that guy's character stuff, but also kind of set up a lot of the expectations for season 2. Because now we know that And they also do this really well in like the post-epilogue stuff where it shows the different people in the core
The
reacting to the
Hashiras.
news of him dying. This isn't something that should be happening. This is something that is very unlikely for him to be killed by a demon. The demons are getting much stronger, and the core have kind of underestimated them. And so that's a really good way of setting up a lot of the expectations for season 2.
Yeah.
In terms of the character's death, it's handled really, really well. You get some flashbacks, so there's that like drawing from his past, into that moment of his death. A lot of recollecting. He does say something to a character like, "Go visit his mum's house" or something. I can't remember
because
the line.
at the start of the movie, Tanjiro was kind of asking Rengoku if he knew anything about fire breathing, but he's all about now flame breathing, bro. But then at the end, he remembers, like, oh my god, my dad reads about them fire boys, so you can check out his books.
Yeah.
So basically, at the end, I think Rengoku kind of, he now kind of respects Tanjiro more. Therefore, he's like, even at the end, he was like, I acknowledge your sister being a demon slayer now, fully.
That was
Yeah.
Which Sunny, that's like one of the big conflicts at the end of season 1. Was the core were like really suspicious of her because she's a demon. Was something else I was going to say.
Well, like Tanjiro has gained Rengoku's full respect, basically, at that moment.
Oh yes, I must ask you boys, each of you, who cried?
Almost.
I cry.
Almost got Sunny.
Actually, less almost, but on the verge of almost.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty close.
I just felt
found it emotional. Ibzy was sobbing, of course.
Oh,
yes. But yeah, that was handled very well. Also, another thing that I'm excited for in season 2, the effect it'll have on Tanjiro.
Yes.
Overall, this movie, the really good thing about this movie is just because it's a movie, it's not like its own thing. It's definitely still part of the series, and you can clearly see the effects towards the end are going to carry over to the next season. Tanjiro lost his mentor figure and failed to defeat that demon. That's probably going to have huge psychological impacts on Tanjiro coming up in the next
expectations and the weight of the burden's higher now. So, yeah.
The burdens. He knows what I'm about, the burdens.
Yeah.
And yeah. And like I said before, it would have been cool to see Mr. Michael Jackson, I don't remember his name, villain of season 1, make an appearance towards at the end here. That would be a good way to kind of tie it into season 2 a little bit more. Because it would be interesting to see the dude's reaction to the fact that the guy just killed a really high-powered demon slayer. So like, yeah,
he'll be like Lamau.
But yeah, anyway, ending I think handles really, really well.
Yeah.
Any more spoiler stuff to add?
Well,
if you come back for the verdict, you'll come back for the verdict, right?
Alright. Yeah, sure, let's get Izzy on. I guess that's it for Spoiler Zone. We'll get into the verdicts here.
He's back for the final verdicts.
We have Mr. Joker back for our final verdicts. I guess we'll start off with myself. Yeah, so this is a good movie. Lots of cool action bits, a bit of a good storytelling for the characters, and moving forward with the story of Demon Slayer. Could have been better in the middle part, as we've said before. Beginning and end, pretty strong. Beautiful animation, good music, and overall, pretty good movie. But not the best thing in the world. There are other good anime films. So I'm gonna give this one a 7.8 out of 10.
Oh, very specific.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. For me,
Points. Hey, asking about his lot.
I kind of said all the stuff I need to say before. Lots of good stuff here. Some little, some bad stuff. To be honest, especially in the middle. But still, great film. Great film. I'm thinking this might be higher than it deserves, but I think because I enjoyed it quite a bit, I'm gonna go with an 8.
Yeah. Because that was what I was debating in my head. Like, is it 8 or 7?
Like 7 or 8,
Is
7 or
it-
8.
7.8. That's that.
Yeah. So,
It
Good
also
compliment.
deserves a 7, but I'm giving it an 8 for my
Yeah.
own opinion. Yeah.
okay.
Sonny, do you want to go?
Oh no, we go always go from left to right because I have no opinions.
Sorry. Obviously, you can all guess that I'm a massive Demon Slayer fan. I have Demon Slayer in my veins, all that stuff. As a
Demon blood.
manga enjoyer,
Demon veins.
Demon blood, of course. My blood demon art is getting terrible. But I thought that when I read the manga the first time, where we got into Demon Slayer, I think people have a lot to look forward to in the upcoming seasons. If we can expect this level of quality from the Demon Slayer franchise, animation phenomenal. The voice work, I noticed not a lot of people talk about it. I thought it was the emotion. The voice actors really sold me on the character's emotion. Is it the next Shakespeare or coming to Jesus Christ? No, it's not.
Yes.
It's not. But I don't think
Tangerine
things
King
necessarily
Jesus.
have to be 100% on Rotten Tomatoes for them to be really enjoyable. And I think any anime fan or any fan of action will really enjoy this one, as much
Yeah.
as I have. And if you like what you see, stick around because the hits just get harder from here on out. I look forward to what comes next. So for the movie, a very high rating of 8.5 out of 10.
Nice.
That was very
Yeah.
8.
Okie
Cool.
dokie.
Cool.
So like an 8.2 or something?
That's a combined average of about 8.1.
8, yeah.
8.1.
8.1.
Alright. 8.1 it is.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
There we
for
go.
viewers, what did you think of this movie if you watched it? Tell us in the comment section below. If you like this video, give it a like. If you dislike this video, give it a like anyway. Subscribe if you haven't. Ring the notification bell for immediate updates. And we will be seeing you in the next episode. And
Special
final
thank
thank
to
you
Joker for
to Mr.
giving us this time for this review.
Yes.
Of course, guys. Anytime. Hey, Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer it is. I guess we'll be.
I bet.
Yeah.
So I think this is a lot of stuff to look forward to in the Demon Slayer franchise.
Hell yeah.
Hopefully, season 2 will be as good or better. Let's see.
Season
We'll
2,
review it.
here we come, baby. Yeah, we will.
Let's go.
Check out our review of season 1 if you haven't seen it already. Yeah.
And we shall now slay the demon that is this video. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.